I feel like this topic needs absolutely no introduction whatsoever, but you're gonna get one anyway. YouTube is probably one of the most well-known websites all over the world. I mean, you can watch any video that your heart desires. You can make your own videos for millions to see. It's fantastic. I love YouTube. I mean, you're watching me on YouTube, you know, this app website gives me a platform to express my opinions, and for some reason you guys care, which is amazing. I love it. It's great. It's truly gave me almost a sense of purpose, you know. I'm finally gaining something from a hobby of like researching and, you know, just being stupid. I love it. It's great, and I'm so thankful for my audience. Anyway, enough blowing smoke up its ass. YouTube has something for all ages. Something to just whack on for your kids while you make tea, or something to just put in the background while you're studying. It's got something for everyone. But what about when YouTube, this website that has been trusted for, you know, 2 decades now, begins to pump out content to unsuspecting children that leaves them with so many questions and trauma? That's right, today we're going to have a look at the Elsagate controversy, and as well as, you know, I know that Elsagate has made a bit of a comeback, but in today's video I'm going to focus more on the origins of Elsagate rather than the more modernised version of Elsagate. But if that's something that you are interested in, please let me know, and I'm down to make part 2 of this video. But yeah, we're going to look at the origins of YouTube, Elsagate, and, you know, what kind of led on to the adpocalypse, if you will. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and we'll just get straight into today's video topic. So first, it would only be right to have a little look at the origins of everyone's favourite website. Now, YouTube is actually an American social media platform which is now owned by Google. That's right, YouTube comes under social media, which, thinking about it, yeah, of course it does, but like, I don't know, that kind of shocked me a little bit. I wasn't expecting that. YouTube was born on the 14th of February 2005, making it 20 years old, meaning that that's probably older than a majority of my audience, which is terrifying. The site was actually created by 3 guys, just three former PayPal employees, and these were Steve Chen, Chad Hurley, and George Kareem. I'm really sorry if I've mispronounced that name. In 2005, Chen and Hurley were at a dinner party and they had difficulty sharing videos that they'd taken there, so they kind of got the idea for YouTube. But according to Hurley and Chen themselves, so I don't know where that came from, but according to Chen and Hurley themselves, the original idea for YouTube, sorry, I've just got a message, so I'm so sorry, this is a complete tangent, but I've just received a message off my friend that Katy Perry has received. Sorry, I just got a message of one of my friends that Katy Perry has made it back to Earth safely, and it just caught me so off guard. Okay, so Chen and Hurley said that the original idea for YouTube was they were going to make an online dating service that used videos, and all I could think about was that episode of iCarly where Spencer films himself making a 10-minute video eating cereal, which this would have been perfect for, you know? So they created a post on Craigslist and were like, hey, girls, send me a video and we'll give you £100 if you upload it to YouTube. But unfortunately, this ended up going absolutely nowhere, so instead they changed the idea and just decided to, you know, accept any uploads of videos. The first video was actually uploaded to YouTube in April of 2025, and this video was titled, quote, Me at the Zoo, and it shows the co-founder, George Kareem, at the San Diego Zoo, and this one is probably the most iconic, you know, YouTube lore. I feel like everyone knows this is the first video that was posted to YouTube. But the site didn't launch officially until the 15th of December 2005, by which the time the site was receiving around 8 million views a day, so it was almost like an immediate hit. Clips at the time were only limited to 100 megabytes of footage, which is actually as little as just 30 seconds of video. But on the 9th of October 2006, Google had actually announced that they had acquired YouTube for $1.65 billion in Google stock, and it's at this time where YouTube adapted the slogan, quote, broadcast yourself, which, bring it back. Bring it back. That is so iconic. The company then experienced rapid growth, with the Daily Telegraph writing in 2007 that YouTube consumed as much bandwidth as the entire internet in the year 2000. How insane is that? In 2011, more than 3 billion videos were being watched each day, with 48 new hours of footage being uploaded every minute. Yeah, and it was around this time where YouTube began to, really adapt the red play button logo. When, I just want to say, this is again a little bit of a side note, but do you guys remember, the early days of iPhone, the old YouTube icon? Because what was this?
Huh?
Why was this? What was this? I know it's supposed to be an old TV, but it's just so random. What was the thought process behind that? In December 2009, YouTube ended up partnering with Vivo, which is the whole music video company. So, when you go on YouTube back in the day and every music video would have the Vivo in the bottom corner. And in April of 2010, Lady Gaga's Bad Romance became the most viewed video, becoming the first video to reach 200 million views on the platform. Then in February 2014, Susan Wojcicki, I'm really sorry if I've mispronounced that, was appointed CEO of YouTube, and a lot of people sort of blame her for YouTube's downfall, but really, I don't know how to feel about that. Also, I didn't know, but she passed away last year as well, which is really sad. The company also attempted to create products appealing to specific viewers. So, for example, in 2015, YouTube released YouTube Kids, which, I don't want to say it was a bad decision, but it wasn't great. And this app was, of course, designed specifically for children, giving children the best viewing experience that they could get. Or so they claimed. It featured a simplified user interface, curated sections of the channel that was broken down into age-appropriate content and parental control features. So of course, with the birth of YouTube Kids, many parents thought that their children would be safe using the kids version of the app. At the time where YouTube was still a little bit of the wild west of the internet, 2015, 2016 was where iDubbbz, Filthy Frank, Max Morpho were at the top of the game. It was sort of anything could go. Everyone was sort of in their edgy era on YouTube, so parents were well, this is a bit weird, let's go on the kids version, expecting that their kids would be safer. Of course, this app provides a version of the service, just like YouTube, but it's solely towards children. They filter content that is deemed child appropriate for viewing for children under the age of 13, And this was in accordance with the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, which prohibits the regular YouTube app from advertising to children under the age of 13. And as of September 2019, the app is available in 69 countries. Yeah, I'm not kidding. YouTube launched a web-based version of the app in August 2019 as well, because originally it was just an app. However, the TV version of YouTube Kids was actually shut down last year. The app is divided into 4 content categories, recommended, shows, music, and learning. The categories feature sections of content from channels that was deemed appropriate for children. But in September of 2018, YouTube added new group age options relating to the age of children. So for example, they had younger and older, which then led on to preschool, school age, reception age if you're in the UK, or first grade, kindergarten, whatever you call it. But a lot of the content on there was very child friendly. you just have those slop content farms where they do toy unboxings and just crudely animated, Cocomelon, Pink Fong, all that stuff, Super Simples, whatever they're called. I don't know, I don't have kids, because I tell you what, if I had to hear Baby Shark on repeat every day, I think I'd blow my head off. But YouTube Kids was special because it also featured parental control settings that allowed parents to feel as if they was in control, because were they really in control? Not at all. They could limit screen time and restrict users from accessing the search tools. Parents can also use passcodes within the app or on their Google account to protect these settings so their children can't turn it off. And this was a great concept. Kids were safe, they couldn't be watching anything that they weren't supposed to, and it was a great idea, right? No, it was terrible. So in 2016, something began occurring on both YouTube and YouTube Kids that was a pretty weird phenomenon, but I don't really think anyone knew the gravity of what was about to happen. Lots of channels begin to pop up that would post, well, at a glance, normal children's content, lots of them featuring kids' favourite characters such as Spider-Man, Peppa Pig and Elsa, which is why this phenomenon is given the term Elsagate. Sometimes these characters would be animated, sometimes they would be dolls, and sometimes they would be real-life humans dressed up as these characters. It wasn't just one thing. It was a whole entire genre that was going across all these channels. Don't matter if it was animation, acting channels, toy channels, they were all taking part in this. Dressing up as a fully grown adult on YouTube dressing up as Elsa as a fully grown adult on YouTube with no, acting experience or, it not being your job is weird within itself, but I can't judge. Now, of course, kids will consume any kind of content if it's bright, colourful and engaging, and it seemed like that the creators of this content knew that and they used this to their advantage. And this was actually around the time where the term iPad kids, began to develop, because I feel like this is where it stemmed from. Because parents begin to use tablets as a babysitter. Rather than interacting with their children, they just stick a tablet in front of them and hope for the best. And parents are so ill-informed on what their children are doing online, it is crazy. A 3-year-old does not need an iPad. They need a book. The longer a video kept a child glued to the screen, the more likely it was to get promoted. And what kind of audience would give longer watch times and high retention? Kids. Specifically young children. And lots of this content was being fed to children through the autoplay feature that YouTube had on the Kids app. Now, these videos did actually start off relatively tame. It wasn't always set out to be this way. A lot of these content creators would just create slop content, nothing was weird. Well, it is weird, but it wasn't as weird as we're going to talk about in a minute. It would just be Spider-Man and Elsa pulling pranks on each other, or running around a house, not really doing much, but it didn't matter because they were racking in views anyway. And a lot of these videos would use keywords like learn colours, nursery rhymes, or for kids, which would attract these views. But somehow, somewhere along the way, these videos took an absolutely disgustingly insane turn, and they ended up going into the worst direction that they could have possibly gone in. Because of the amount of views that these videos were racking in, that led to more people partaking in this type of content, okay? And this led to creators trying to one-up each other each time. And how did they do that? Well, it was made the most shocking content win, because they had to get cleverer and they had to get those clicks in from small children, or they had to get it in the autoplay algorithm. And that was what they did. And this eventually spiraled into disturbing and creepy content that was being pushed to small children. But what kind of content, you ask? What could have been so bad that small children had to witness? Well, lots of videos included a heavily pregnant Elsa. Okay, which sounds pretty tame, until a video features her dying during childbirth. Or what about Spider-Man being tied up in bondage and then tortured? Yeah, this is real. Or Peppa Pig being turned into bacon, or drinking toxic substances. There were also lots of topics that focused on peeing and pooping. Now, side rant, because I do not understand children's obsession with Okay, I don't get it. I think it's fucking weird that toy companies, children's books, have to push to children. Why are you doing that? I'm sorry, this is something I'm weirdly passionate about, okay? I don't get it. Why are you encouraging children to play with their own poo? I mean, yeah, if you look at it from, like, a potty training, perspective, like, you're teaching children that it's okay to poo. Absolutely, that's fine. A lot of children do actually come across hurdles while potty training, where they begin holding their poo because they're scared to go to the toilet. It's a real thing, okay? I've got nieces and nephews. It happens. But why on earth are you making a unicorn that poops slime? With the commercial singing and dancing about playing with I don't get it. Or what about the storybooks where a dinosaur out Christmas? That's not normal! I'm sorry, it's so weird! Slime is, like, fine. Like, gross things, fine. But when it comes to literal and feces, sort yourself out. That is actually, like, disgusting. Why are you doing that? Anyway, side rant over. But lots of these thumbnails of these videos would feature blood, pain, injections, pregnancy, poo, bums, and everything that you can imagine. Again, a lot of the peeing and pooing feature was, like, to the extreme. Like, it showed people dressed up as Elsa, like, eating feces out of the toilet that's like chocolate. But if a kid sees that, why wouldn't they recreate what they've seen? That's what children do. They're like sponges, you show them anything, they're gonna recreate it. So, like, why are you doing that? Characters would be stabbed with injections, had surgeries performed on them in pretty gory and graphic detail, especially in the animations. Kidnappings, violence, and bondage were also very common topic features in these videos. For example, there was many videos that show, I don't know, I can't think of one on the top of my head because there's so many, but the animations were the ones that were specifically, like, disturbing, because they would be, portrayed as something rather innocent, but then show something horrendous, like one of their favourite characters dying or being, tortured horrifically. And the thing is, these videos weren't technically going against YouTube guidelines at the time, so they were creepy but, like, vague enough to not be detected, and kids sitting with autoplay on their tablets just kept watching. But where was this content coming from? Who was behind it? Well, lots of it was produced in bulk by, quote, click farms, low-cost animation studios, and it seems that a lot of the scripts were either written by bots or people that had a very poor grasp on the English language. According to research, many Elsagate-style content was created in farms all over the world, such as India, Thailand, and Russia. And you can tell these videos didn't have much of a budget, from the really crappy costumes that were probably really cheap off-branded, quote, Snow Princess or Man of the Spider type shit. And the animation style was just very, very poor quality with recycled stock music and sounds, which, I feel called out. Now, these creators probably weren't, well, some of them probably weren't necessarily trying to make disturbing content, but because they were trying to gain YouTube's algorithm and monetize their content rapidly, they ended up going down this rabbit hole. A lot of the disturbing parts of Elsagate came from the, quote, tone-deaf storytelling, language barriers, and sheer volume of content that was being produced. Some of these Elsagate videos ended up coming from individuals or small teams, people who had sort of, figured out to use the right characters, like Elsa and Peppa Pig, who were, like, at the peak at the time, slap on some bright thumbnails and throw in words like, the buzzwords like learn colours, nursery rhymes, and they realised that they could make thousands of dollars in ad revenue. Now, let me tell you, YouTube Kids videos it's not hard to come across videos that have over 100 million views, right? Oh my god, the ad revenue you would be making on that is insane. Some of the parents that were involved in creating Elsagate content also involved their children in it, which is so disturbing. This is like, think family channels, but this is like 1,000 times worse. The reason there was so much Elsagate slop is because it was cheap, quick, and easy to make, because small children don't understand anything, you know, they're not bothered, they just see bright thumbnail click video, you know, they just goo goo gaga, they don't know. I feel like it goes without saying, but this was a problem, and a pretty big one at that, because these videos were actually dangerous. They were featuring content and marketing it towards small children, where these kids could grow up thinking that that kind of behaviour is normal and then go on to repeat that behaviour. Lots of it was violent, scaring young children and almost, you know, conditioning them to think that this was an okay way to act. Like, this is why you're not supposed to let a 3-year-old watch Family Guy, you know? Not only violent, but also extremely disturbing content was being shown to small children, with themes of pregnancy, death and disgusting toilet humour. I honestly wonder how many kids, I need a graph of how many kids, right, since the rise of poop toys, how many kids have been rushed to hospital for, like, eating their own shit? Do you know what I mean? I need to know that. I wonder if that's a thing. Editing dollface, is that a thing?
Yeah, babe, I am not Googling that.
Thanks. And this content was bypassing all of the parental controls because it was marketed as kid-friendly, when it absolutely was nothing of the sort. Especially because a lot of this content was going on to YouTube Kids. The grown-ups just assumed, well, it's on the kids version of YouTube, so it must be safe, you know, when really it's not how it works. YouTube isn't like Netflix or Disney. It's like, people can upload what they want, you know? Elsagate ended up exposing a massive flaw in how YouTube's recommendation system works, because the platform wasn't promoting content based on quality or safety, but simply on engagement, and these Elsagate videos were getting a lot of engagement. And this ended up having quite the impact on children who were consuming this content, because even if a child doesn't fully understand what they're watching, their brain is still processing, you know, the fear and distress and confusion and the sadness of what's going on in these videos. This would have ended up causing anxiety, nightmares, as well as normalising behaviour that shouldn't be normalised to small children. Because think about it, nowadays parents will have literal newborns in front of a tablet watching dancing fruit, you know, like, I get it as a pastime. I'm not talking about the parents that stick it in front of the kids for an hour a day while they do no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the parents that leave it in front of their kids so they can sit on the phone. You know, parents that just don't care. Could you imagine being desensitized to weird content at the age of 4? That would absolutely your brain, you know, like, this is probably a bit of an extreme comparison, okay, but you get these, you know, serial killers or, you know, horrendous criminals that, like, grow up in a horrendous environment where people don't, you know, pay attention to them, they get desensitized. It doesn't matter how they're desensitized, they are desensitized, and then they go on to commit crimes. We're not far off from that with the iPad kid epidemic, okay? You think I'm joking, but I am being so serious. I don't think we're going to realise how serious this is until these children grow up. I'm sorry to say it, but children today are absolutely cooked. They're cooked. The impact of this kind of content on children can stump empathy development, which, if you don't know what empathy is, that means you have, like, you know, empathy for other people, you feel for other people. Raising a new generation of psychopaths, making them absolutely emotionless little creatures, as well as the mimicking behaviour that they see. Young children are still learning separate, you know, real and pretend, right from wrong, because they're learning, they're new humans, they're learning, they're growing, they're developing, and this content can leave children, you know, struggling with anxiety around day-to-day life. Like, simple activities like going to the doctor or going to the park can be horrendous experiences because of what they've seen on their iPad. Even going to the toilet can become a problem for children because of what they've seen online. It happens. Also, children will then go on to repeat phrases that they've picked up online without actually knowing what it means, as well as picking up different regional accents because of how much time they spend on their tablets. Tell me why today's children in the UK have American accents. What's going on? Children, especially toddlers, need age-appropriate content to help with their development, emotional regulation, and social understanding. And Elsagate content was being made in broken English as well as nonsense language. The content had no real moral teachings or general, like, anything, general structure like actual cartoons do that are on CBeebies or, I don't know what, like Tiny Pop. The fast-paced and overstimulating content with loud sounds, flashing colours and chaotic scenes can be so overstimulating for the brain of young children, making their attention spans non-existent. And let me tell you, the lack of attention spans that children have today is genuinely heartbreaking, because you can put a box of Lego in front of them, and me 20 years ago would have been like, hell yeah, Lego. You put that in front of a 2-year-old today, they'll get bored within 2 minutes. It's not all children, but it's some of them. And the fact that it's more than a few is terrifying, because as soon as the screen's on, all of them are glued to it. But thankfully, this wasn't just something that could be swept under the rug, as Elsagate pressured YouTube into taking responsibility for the content that was being uploaded to the website, especially within its kids platform, which is great. But this also caused the adpocalypse, because so many normal content creators that was creating content for adults, ended up in the crossfire and having their channels demonetized. They had massive takedowns on disturbing kids content, which led to hundreds and thousands of Elsagate videos being removed. For example, on November 27th, the company said in a statement to BuzzFeed News that it had, quote, terminated more than 270 accounts and removed over 150,000 videos. They'd also turned off the comments on more than 600,000 videos targeted by child porn. And they removed ads on nearly 2 million videos and over 50,000 channels. Yeah, it was pretty big. They also terminated and demonetized channels that were exploiting the algorithm producing this kind of content. That's right, comments were disabled on many videos that were featuring children to prevent grooming and inappropriate behaviour in any of the comment sections. Now, if you want a little bit more of a deep dive on this, I can do a video, because I didn't know this while researching this video, but again, if I'll be here all day if we talk about everything. It was also revealed in the media that many of the videos featuring minors that were uploaded by the children themselves and were just sort of showing innocent content had attracted comments from real life and other groups. As a result of this controversy, several major advertisers froze spending on YouTube, forcing YouTube to ban children from their site, citing legal obligations, tightening ad eligibility, making it harder for creators of questionable content to earn revenue, which is where the edgy era came to an end. YouTube, a lot of people will claim that this is how YouTube died, and to an extent I do agree. I do miss the old content that was uploaded, but it's for the best to let it rest. It really is. Elsagate ended up shattering a major illusion for parents who believed that their children were safe on YouTube. The scandal did end up waking up lots of parents to the dangers of unsupervised screen time, however, not all of them, because iPad kids are still being birthed today. Parents just ended up using Netflix and Disney instead of just removing the iPad from the child, but hey ho. It showed how easy it was to manipulate the algorithms on YouTube and how dangerous that can be when the audience is vulnerable. Creators became a lot more cautious, avoiding even the edgiest of jokes and themes for fear of demonetization or being flagged, and eventually this kind of content was erased from YouTube, as well as so many other videos that got caught in the crossfire. Of course, you'd think that, well, that would be the end of it. Well, you would be wrong. You would be horrendously wrong, because Elsagate has come back and is still a thing to this day. However, giving it the name Elsagate feels wrong because it's just with different characters. Although YouTube did crack down on Elsagate content in 2018, videos hosting similar content have been found on the website in the following years. But now, instead of focusing on Elsa and Spider-Man and Peppa Pig, instead it focuses on Five Nights at Freddy's, Minecraft, Among Us and Poppy Playtime, which is both marketed towards and freely accessible to children. But again, there's a loophole. Do you know what the loophole is? Instead of uploading it to YouTube Kids, they upload it to regular YouTube. Kids are going to still get access to it, basically. In an investigation published by Wired on March 30th, 2021, they found dozens of disturbing and grotesque animated videos targeting Minecraft and Among Us fans that were featured under YouTube topics or hashtag pages for games. You've all seen the content of the Minecraft corn videos, you know, you've all seen the content of them with big square boobs, you know, you've all seen it, and this is modern day Elsagate. One live stream showcased an animated video of a bare-chested female Minecraft character opening up a present containing a poop emoji, as well as the thumbnail featuring two inflated breasts holding up a Minecraft poop brick. Again, a lot of this content is featured just in the thumbnails of this video alone, so you can imagine what kind of content you were going to witness when you clicked on the video. This magazine also went on to say that this isn't a direct Elsagate repeat, as none of these videos were on YouTube Kids, but it didn't matter because it was still pretty disgusting, because it's still aimed at children. But again, the content in the newer version of Elsagate was becoming a little bit more disturbing, featuring topics such as date rape, violence, murder, school shootings, and physical abuse towards children and women. And what did YouTube, respond to this? Well, they were just like, well, it's not on the kids app, now we can do, peace out. Yeah, and in today's day and age, with AI being as rampant as it is, a lot of, this slop content is coming about again. Like, I'm sure you've seen the AI videos of, like, cats working on a building site. Like, it's just pure slop that is churned out by a machine, and kids watch it and they get money from it. It is so gross. No one is putting any effort into it. However, again, these channels are being cracked down. For example, in January of 2025, a channel with the username Cute Cat AI was actually terminated, and this is because it contained gore images targeted towards children. Several of these accounts continue to run rampant on YouTube, and it's only a matter of time before we see what the next disturbing, scandal this website is going to churn out. Elsagate will forever be remembered as an absolute disaster that really changed YouTube and its content forever. Many children were left traumatised by what they ended up coming across on YouTube Kids, and unfortunately this kind of content shows absolutely no signs of stopping whatsoever. Unfortunately, these creators will always find a loophole, which means they're going to make money. Lots of other channels that weren't even, targeted towards children were caught in the crossfire, forever changing the way that creators made their content. But despite this being so horrendous, it will always be remembered as a kind of iconic time period in internet's history. And that is all the time I have for this video. If you enjoyed, please let me know. If you have any stories, anything you want to say or requests, leave them in the comments down below, as I read every single comment. And if you'd like to follow me on any of the more social medias, links are in the link tree. Follow me on Instagram, you can see my everyday to-day life. I'll post polls and updates on YouTube videos as they come, so you can be first to be in the know. And if you would like to subscribe, please consider doing so, but if not, that's also fine. I am almost at 30,000 subscribers.
Actually, while editing this video, I already hit 30k, so thank you so much for that milestone. That's genuinely insane. Thanks.
And that is so surreal, that is crazy. It feels like literally last week I was at 10k. How is that? Oh my god, it's like doubled. It's terrifying. Oh my god, it's amazing. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and in the meantime, stay safe.